Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm back for another Slim Sports interview, and as always, I'm your host, Jay Slim. And joining me today is a 6 foot tall linebacker that can hit the quarterback with the best of them and force fumbles with the best of them, causing turnovers. Even got himself a touchdown doing it this year. We'll get into that in a sec. From the South Florida Bulls, Mac Harris. What's going on, Big Mac?
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Beyond happy to have you on. You put up some great numbers for the Bulls this past season for a defense that was absolutely dominant. You guys ended up being bowl eligible once again, and you yourself, you got some accolades to go along with that. And I want to talk about some of your accolades, some career accomplishments that you've had in a segment that I like to call Rewind and Recap. Just going to rewind the clock and tell people why you are awesome. And you spent the past 5 years with the South Florida Bulls, growing in their program, developing into who you are now. And this past season, you led the Bulls in tackles and sacks and helped lead USF to back bowl games over the past 2 seasons. And this past season as well, Phil Steele, he clearly took notice of your name and he ended up putting you on the all AAC third team list that he came out with. So, got a
Right.
lot of accolades, got a lot of honors, and obviously a lot of wins with the Bulls, especially over the past 2 seasons. You've been a part of this program for the past 5 years since you were a freshman. You've seen it grow. You've seen players come in and leave, coaches come in and leave. How would you say that this program has grown over the past year, and how has your role grown with it?
Um, I would just say we've grown to, be more closer as players. Players just getting closer, hanging out with each other more often. Um, Also, having having, grown more dedication for the game and more, more guys just wanting to be there more often and wanting to learn more and wanting to actually, you know, be a part of, something special. And I would just say my role was just honestly just stepping up to the plate and doing what needed to be done for the team. It was nothing individual I said I was gonna set out and do, special or anything like that. It was more so just doing what needed to be done, doing whatever was gonna help the guys.
Yeah, and you're in that linebacker position where you were able to put up some great numbers this past season. 82 total tackles, 54 solo tackles, had 4 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery that will come in a little highlight segment that I like to put on a little bit later. How would you describe your style of play at that linebacker position? Because you were really able to do a multitude of things for the Bulls.
Honestly, I'm a hard critic on myself. Like looking back at the season, listening to all the accolades and stuff is pretty cool. Not gonna lie, because looking back at the season, you know, being a student of the game as I am, I'm looking at it and I'm just seeing all the different opportunities where I could have done more. Where I could have, made more game changing plays and things of that nature. But honestly, like I say, and I know it sounds repetitive, but it's the truth. Just trying to be the best possible teammate I can. So if that's, you know, making sure I fill this hole as fast as I possibly can. So, I get a blocker off of one of my defensive linemen. Like that's what I was trying to do. If it was, making sure I was in a certain zone drop, so that I could take some pressure off of the safeties or off of the corners, that's what I was trying to do. And it ended up, through effort and through the rest of the guys being there with me, it ended up turning into a stat.
Yeah, and you guys at that linebacker position, especially you being a senior leader, a veteran with this program, you're asked to do a whole lot of different things on the field, cover an open space, force fumbles, create turnovers. Uh, when you guys are blitzing, you're trying to find the right hole, the right gap to get into so you can get to the quarterback or create a tackle for loss with the running back. How do you manage all of those responsibilities that are being asked of you at that linebacker position?
First off is just being in your playbook and understanding what your assignments are, initially just doing that. And then second off, really again being a student of the game and being dialed in with your defensive coordinator and making sure you're on the same page with him of, not only what he's calling, but why, situationally, and, being aware of those things, those will also take you towards the ball as well.
Yeah, and you definitely were able to execute whatever your coaches asked of you this past season. Made a whole lot of big time highlights for yourself. And I alluded to that little highlight segment that I like to do. We're going to get into it now. I like to call it Make That Play. And I went through your highlights. I went through the film that I could find on YouTube, Twitter, stuff like that. And I came up with my top three highlights of yours from this past season. But I do want to ask you, and I have a feeling I know what number one's going to be. I think it's going to match me. But what was your top play from this past season?
That's a tough question. That's a tough question. Man, man, oh man. I wanna say, and it's so funny you ask because, like, my boy Jalen Shooter, like he always reminds me of, like, the touchdown. Like he always reminds, to this day, like, he comes talk to me about the touchdown. Bro, you scored a touchdown. Like, that's crazy. You scored a touchdown. And I'm grateful. Like I appreciate the touchdown. Like, it was a given, honestly. Like, the ball was just there, and it was just up to me to, go scoop and score it. But I would really say, my sack versus Alabama. I would say that one was pretty that one stuck with me the most. Not because of, who we were playing against, but, in that moment I really felt like the defense was, we were all just connected to each other. You know what I'm saying? And as a linebacker, as a player in general, on that field, like, when you feel a connection to the guys, to the other 10 guys that you're playing with, like, that's just a special feeling. And in that moment, that's exactly what I felt. And then, being able to make a play on top of that feeling was just, it was just perfect for me.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that sack is your top one. I actually have that at number two on my list. I do have that on
Okay.
my list there. That one was
Okay.
a really nice sack. And to be honest, considering who you sacked in Jalen Milroe and Alabama, I almost had that at number one. But at number one, I had to go with the fumble recovery touchdown against
Yeah.
Charlotte. And Jalen Schuler, I guarantee you part of the reason he's hyping that up is because he's the one that forced the fumble. Credit to him. He did a great job. And it's almost as if he saw where you were because that forced fumble went right in your direction. You scooped it up, took it back for
Man.
25 yards for a touchdown in the third quarter against Charlotte. So that was an insane moment for you.
Yeah, it was special for the both of us, honestly. Us being as close as we are, and, being as tuned in together as we are on the field, and just for him to come up and make that play, and for me to scoop and score it, it was just a special moment.
Yeah, that's awesome for the two of you for sure. And then that sack against Alabama, you're going against Jalen Milroe, who was arguably the best scrambling quarterback this past season. He had 20 rushing touchdowns. He was very good at getting away from the blitz and, finding open space to get yardage. And you delayed a little bit looking for the open gap, and you saw it and you just charged right ahead and you caught him off guard and put him in the ground going against one of the top running quarterbacks in the country. So that's why I had that at number two. That was very impressive. And then
That
number
was fun.
three, also against Alabama, your forced fumble where they ended up running it to the right side. And while you're getting your helmet ripped off of you, you ended up punching it out for a forced fumble. So you're in there, your helmet's coming off, and boom, you still found a way to make that play. And those are the three highlights that I have for the segment, Make That Play. And you guys obviously had a great season. You had to take on a big time leadership role. Obviously, the linebackers, especially senior veteran linebackers like yourself, are looked to as guys that help organize the defense, get them into their formation, the right schemes. How would you say you embraced that role? How did you organize your teammates to make sure everyone was where they were supposed to be before the snap?
I would just say, first off, just giving those guys credit alone. Those guys come to work every single day. Um, Not too many complaints, and they actually they want to be there. They want to win. They want to work hard. They want to, make the plays. They want to hit hard. They want to be, students of the game. So for me, being a leader of the defense, it doesn't make it too hard. It's really just reminding them of who they are every single time we get to go out there and play with each other. Just reminding them, that they are, elite players. They are elite defensive backs. They are elite defensive linemen, and they too can change the game at any point in time. And they deserve to make those plays as well because they work for it. So that's really just the biggest piece of being a leader, a part of this type of defense that we have.
Yeah, and you were a big time leader on the field. And another big time leader for you guys, obviously, is your head coach Alex Golesh. He ended up joining the USF program, I believe it was 2 seasons ago. And each of those 2 seasons, you guys ended up having winning years, making it to bowl games, doing a great job. Actually got both bowl game wins, beat Syracuse last year and San Jose State this year. How would you describe his coaching style and how has his impact on the program helped lead to so many wins right off the bat?
Honestly, I would say, uh, obviously a lot more in depth than what I'm gonna say, but you know, similar to what I just said about me leading the defense, like he sees and he's recruited, some of the players that we have, and he notices that we love football, like we truly love football, and we truly want to get it right, and we truly want to be the best of the best, each and every day, and we work hard and we go hard, and what he does a really good job of, in my opinion, is coming in every day and reminding us that not only can we do it, but like that's the expectation, like that's the standard for us, and that's the mentality we should have going into literally everything, even things off the field. Just understanding that you can be the best of the best because you have the ability. He always talks about the difference between ability and talent. Ability meaning you can do these things, and talent meaning putting all of these things together ultimately to be able to make the plays, the game changing plays that you need.
Yeah, that's spoken like a true leader for him, and that's why he's helped lead you guys to back-to-back bowl games. This season, you guys ended up going 7-6 overall on the season, 4-4 in a very tough American conference with multiple teams that were ranked nationally in the top 25 throughout the season. I know Tulane and Memphis were in there, as well as Army and Navy. You guys ended up going to the Hawaii Bowl, where you took on San Jose State, and you got the win 41-39, but it wasn't in regulation. You guys ended up being the first ever um, bowl game to ever go into 5 overtimes, which a couple days later, that record was broken by Toledo and Pittsburgh, who went into
Right,
7 overtimes. So
right, right.
absolutely insane. You guys being able to hold down the fort, doing what you did to force those overtimes and get that win overall. How did you and the defense stay strong throughout those 5 OTs to make sure you guys came out on top?
uh just leaning on each other, man. Like just leaning on each other, not getting down on each other when things bad happen. You know what I'm saying? Like when bad things happen, it wasn't, pointing fingers at each other. It wasn't any of that. It was allowing the offense to go out, make their plays, and then once we got our chance to get back on the field, saying, you know what, like this is our chance to get off the field and win the game for our team. Like that was pretty much what we did, and through 5 overtimes we eventually got there.
Yeah, and you guys, like I said, back-to-back bowl game wins. You guys have been winning season each of the past 2 years. In the American Conference as a whole, obviously, we talked about some of those ranked teams I mentioned, Tulane, Memphis, Army, Navy, all of them, where you guys have been in kind of the middle of the pack in the AAC the past couple of years. As a veteran guy for the program, what would you say is the next step for the Bulls heading into 2025 to go from middle of the pack to the top of the conference?
Uh, I would say we're this close. Just situationally, sealing certain games and just understanding in certain moments, what needs to be done. Um, we're not far off at all. It's very small, little details within the game, little plays within the game, maybe a second and a 2nd and 5 that we could have made a 2nd and 7, but instead now it's a 3rd and 2, so just things like that that we've just got to clean up as a defense and as a team that'll just put us over the top to where we want to be.
Yeah, a lot of great, talented players like yourself, Tavin Ward, who's a good friend of the Slim Sports brand. I've known him since high school. He's coming back at that safety position. Byron Brown, who was your guys' starting quarterback, he got hurt a couple games into the season. I'm sure having him back next year, he's absolutely phenomenal with what he's able to do. One of the best throwing and running quarterbacks in the country, in my opinion. So
Right,
you guys have a lot of great guys coming back. And I love having great guys, great players like yourself on the podcast for interviews. And that's why I came up with this segment that I like to call Who's Up Next. In this segment, you give me as many names as you want for me to reach out to, look at their stats, and have on the podcast this season, next season, and in future seasons. Two rules to this, though. First of which, you got to give me at least one name where they were not with the South Florida Bulls this past season. And number two,
right.
whoever you recommend, you got to help me reach out, got to help me get them on the podcast.
Okay. First off, I just want to say this is smart of you. This is very smart of you. Strategically, this is very smart of you. And I commend you for coming up with this idea. Never seen a podcast do anything like this. This is good. Uh, and you said a player that wasn't on the team this past season.
Yeah, somebody that was on a different team, or maybe someone that you know that's playing pro, whatever fits that scheme there.
That's a good one. Um, new guy, new guy. Mm.
You can give me some USF guys first if that makes it easier.
Okay, so USF guy, I think you definitely should reach out to. I think you should reach out to Jalen Schuler. I think you should reach out to Bernard Gooden. I think you should reach out to who else? Deshaun Rucker. I think you should reach out to Bentavion Knox. I think you should reach out to. I don't know. It's so many. I would tell you to reach out to the entire team if it was up to me. Like,
Oh yeah,
yeah, everybody would find this interesting. Um, but yeah, just off the top, just those are the guys I think you should reach out to. Mike Lofton. Um, oof.
he was a big time offensive lineman for you guys this
Oh
season.
yeah, Cole Best. Um, K1 Powell. Um, oh man, it's a lot. It's a lot. We could go all day. Honestly, we
Oh
could go
yeah,
all.
no, those are a lot of
Keyshawn Singleton.
Oh yeah, those are a lot of USF names right there. Then I'm definitely looking. I'm a USF fan. I've been a USF fan for a while, so those names obviously are definitely familiar to me. So I'm going to be looking out and reaching out to a lot of them. So now that you've had a sec to name those USF guys, did somebody pop up in your mind that is playing for a different team or something that fits that thing from earlier?
So they played like they weren't on the team last year, and they transferred in.
They could be playing at a different school altogether.
Uh, I like that. Amaris Brown, Amaris Brown, John Cannon. Those are two guys that left us that I missed.
Where are they at?
Amaris is at UNLV now. John Cannon is at Western Kentucky now.
There you go.
Blue Eli, he's at Rutgers now.
I remember seeing that he big defensive tackle that can get
Yeah,
back there.
miss all three of them guys. Miss all three of them. It's a lot. It's a lot of guys that I'm gonna miss. I respect it, but I'm gonna miss them. Um, but yeah, just off the top, just those three right there off the top.
Hey, there you go, man. Those are some great names for that segment. Who's up next? And that's
Tafik Bayard,
huh?
Tafik Bayard, Tafik Bayard.
Okay. Where's he at now?
Tafik is at Colorado now.
He's at Colorado now. Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
Love that, and that's why I do that segment there. So obviously, a lot of strategicness going from for the brand. Trying to get more people on.
yeah, I got you. Nah, I rock with it. I got you.
And so that's what's up next. Now we gotta talk about, or that's who's up next. Now we gotta talk about what's next for Mac Harris for you going into this next season in 2025. How are you looking to attack this offseason to really get yourself and the Bulls as a whole better for the 2025 season to get to an American Conference championship game?
Um, First and foremost, just like getting with the guys as much as possible. You know, getting with the guys, hanging with the guys as much as possible. You know, those transfer guys that came in, those young guys that came in, and then obviously the guys that I've already played with. You know, just bringing everybody together, mixing all together, offense, defense, whatever, and just building a connection that'll essentially allow us to tap into when things get hard when we're on the field. I think a lot of people, you know, they uh they don't really understand that the game of football is it's a lot easier when you're connected to the guys that you're playing with. Not in the aspect of, technique and, things like that, but really digging deep when things get hard, knowing that you can count on certain people, you know what I'm saying? So that first and foremost, that's one of my biggest goals for the off season, and then obviously individually, just going in and trying to reshape and redefine my body, and be in the best shape I could possibly be, so I can play every single snap for 4 quarters and not feel a thing for the entire season.
Hey, there you go, man. I definitely can't wait to see what you do for the USF Bulls next year. Obviously, you already have a lot of accolades to your name already. Gonna have a lot more after next season, hopefully holding up a couple more trophies to end.
Willing.
Hey, there you go, man. And best of luck to you. And I really do appreciate you, all the kind words, all the positive vibes that you've had throughout this interview. Appreciate you and can't wait to have you on again next year after you're holding up those trophies.
Yes, sir. Once again, appreciate you for having me, man. I love doing stuff like this. Appreciate you.